Welcome, everybody. So good to have everyone here again for another Sunday service. This one is coming in live from the beautiful land of Mexico. So I'm currently in Guadalajara, and I'm 2 hours behind the East time, but we're still on time. So super glad to have everyone joining us today for another Sunday service, and we're going to get right into it. This is the final week of our 3-week series. So we've been talking about Holy Trinity. And um, the last 2 weeks have been very, very important, impactful. We've had some really good conversations, and hopefully you gained a deeper perspective of both the fatheress and the motheress. And now we're going to talk about the divine child and the divine connection and what that means. So, across all ancient sites, across all ancient religions, there are stories of immaculate conceptions, and the immaculate conception kind of mythology comes from um, truth. It comes from a spiritual understanding of when we blend the alchemical body, we blend the masculine, feminine, the Ida, and we feel that together, also called the raising of the kundalini, raise it up to the brain, raise it up to the cranium, and we experience what's called a divine conception, where the fusion of those alchemical energies, the fusion of the Ida, the Pingala, the masculine, feminine, or the mother, father energies together to create the divine child. So the divine child is essentially just a manifestation of the fusion of masculine, feminine energy, which we call the Son of God. So Son of God comes from the word son, that we have worshipped for millennia as human beings. Our very first form of worship was this, because the Son is a manifestation of God. The Son is the direct way in which we know the Creator. So when we can really experience the grace of the Son and the elegance of the Son and the power of the Son, the power of it's the power of removing the paradoxes. There's no longer just mother and just father kind of coming together. There's no longer that dialogue. Or it has been, it has done, it is over. It is created the conception which has birthed the divine child. So the whole essence of the divine child is essentially the understanding that we are all divine childs. We have all created through the fusion of mother and father. You know, whether our parents are physically married doesn't matter, because our parents, whether they're married or not, are our mother and father, right? The two beings, man and woman, that have come to create us as their divine child, which is what you are, which is what I am, which is what we all. We are all divine children. We are all children of God, and we are all the sons of God. The son not being the masculine, which it was later is tweaked in the Bible, as was things, but the truth is the Son of God came from the Son being the great one that warms us and sustains us and gives life. That's Son of God. Our sun in our cosmos is actually the manifestation of God in our solar system. So it is the manifestation of God. Okay, and children are the manifestation of God. So we, of course, as masculine and feminine, we are all children. So all children are manifestation of God. It is only until we become man and woman, and that does not happen just through birth, by the way, because we're a child, long. And if you're living right, you're a child, because we are. We will always be the child of our parents. We will always be the child of God. That will never not be. It can never be, right? It always has to be, because it is. It. It is, right? And when something is, it cannot not be. There's no such thing as something not being, right? Matter cannot be destroyed. It can only be rearranged. Thus, we are all always children of God. We will never not be children of God. We will never not be um, the divine, the divine children. That's what we're here for, you know. And so let's talk about this archetype and the divine conception happen. So the divine conception is the alchemical fusion. And the meaning behind the divine conception, this is where we get a little bit esoteric, but that's okay because I know, we're as I've said before, we're non-denominational here, and we just like to explore spirituality and God and through all the mediums. And the origin of the divine conception came from the conceiving of a divine child without ejaculation. So that's the true nature of the divine conception. It's conception without ejaculation, which is possible, and it's kind of mind blowing for a lot of people. But this is what happens when you understand alchemy, the true, physical alchemy of the fusion of spirit and matter. Because when we can gather as men and women in alchemic marriage, which is sacred, it's a sacred pact, which often is called hieros gamos. Hieros gamos is when if I'm a man and I'm coming together with a woman, I as a man step into my God form, and the woman steps into her God form, and as we step into our God forms, we conceive a divine, and that divine child is a child of God, because there is no impurities, which means that the child will not be tainted by the impurities of man. Doesn't mean that he won't be tempted, but it just means that the innate impurities that intend to pass on through our children to our children are overcome. We against the divine marriage. Now, divine conception. I mean, what I'm talking about here is you know years and years of history school to be able to even comprehend some of this stuff. But we can experience divine conceptions every single day through the union of our masculine and feminine energies. And through that union, we can step into our inner child, our divine child. And so the true meaning of the child is to bring about light. Hence why we have the kind of back and forth between the sun and the sun, O-N-S-U-N, right? The Son of God. As G Master said, I am the Son of, but what was left out is he also said that so are you. We are all children of God. We are all sons of God. And sons being S-U-N, not S-O-N. S-O-N was converted to create the idea that only men are worthy of divine children and only men are the pure ones, which is a, but the truth is we are sons of God, S-U-N-S of God. We are all divine sons. And when we can kind of step into that understanding, when we can step into our divine child power, we can step the power of being a son. What does that mean? What does it mean when we, divine children, can recognize our power? Well, it means no longer corruptible. It means that we're no longer by the biases that live within and around us. It means that the power is within. It means that we are able to harness the God energy as opposed to attempting, as opposed to the quote unquote powers that be attempting to take that away from us. Okay? So, the true potency of power and our potential as human beings is to experience what's called alchemical marriage. And alchemical marriage is vision of masculine feminine energy in ourselves, within ourselves. As we talk divine union, right? And I mean, you know this now, but a lot of times when we talk about divine union, you hear people talking about it, and they kind of spit as if it's some external thing. And you experience divine union. When we blend God and a spiritual experience, whether you do some cyclics in ceremony with a shaman, or whether you are at a deeply potent church experience, you or have some sort of religious experience, have a deep meditation, Kundalini yoga, and experience the raising of the Kundalini or the Shakti energy. So you can experience all these things. You can get into these divine states. In these divine ecstatic states, you're experiencing what we call divine union. You're experiencing the act of union. right? You're blending masculine and feminine energy, blend polarities to unity. And that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to create the of unities. We're here to create an alchemical fusion, an alchemical um, divinity within ourselves, because we are God. So again, S-U-N-S of God, sun, like the sun, like the great sun through which we are part of. God manifests in each solar system as the sun, and the sun relays that information to us, our divine information. Hence why we have eons and eons and eons across all space and time of sunlight. The sun the act of worshiping the sun is worshiping the closest divine man of God. And this is what the divine child represents, the closest divine manifestation of God, which means that we're all manifestations of God. Everything, every inanimate thing, some shrubbery is a manifestation of God. I'm a manifestation of God. My computer is a manifestation of God. The incense is a manifestation of God. The sun, the moon, all of it is a manifestation of God. But what is the most pure? A newborn child. A child. A child is the most pure because the child is the least tainted. The sun is the most pure because it is the least tainted. The sun itself is a generator, right? Planets emit frequency. They're not generators. A sun is a generator of life, generator of sustenance, and ultimately our pathway to divine. And when we can understand not only the importance of divine union and the importance of alchemical marriage, we will better understand the inner child within ourselves. And this is where we have the full soul of the Holy Trinity. So we understand the basis of the man. We understand the basis of masculinity. We understand the basis of the divine father to provide and protect, to create the whole system, to create the structure through which we live in, right? And then we understand the role of the divine to create matter, to create form, go from, this to form, and to experience all the spectrums between that, right? Because all the fragrances, all the frequencies, all the sounds, all the movement, that is the supreme Shakti energy, right? And the eternal imperishable is the supreme Shiva energy, the supreme divine father, the divine God energy, right? And the goddess energy is the supreme momentum, the momentum of the cosmos, which needs to happen for everything to be created. That is the essence of the feminine. So when you have the fusion of the impermeable with the fusion of matter and all is contained within the impermeable, this fusion, right? We have the sperm and the egg creates the divine conception. And the divine conception is where the son is born. So here's the thing. The same principles apply to physical life, right? When animals procreate in nature, we have physical life, right? When sperm meets with egg, we have physical life. Woman is ovulation and experiences ejaculation, as an ejaculatory orgasm and release that creates a conception if the sperm and the egg meet and whole cells there, right? This is how animals procreate. This is how animals procreate. And how humans have been given the gift of creation is above the animal realm. We actually can rise above that. Hence, we have the alchemical union, or to hear we can into our God forms and procreate all divine conception, because there's no life force taken away from the entities, which is what happens through when we experience an ejaculatory orgasm. We are depleting our life force, and that depletion of the life force ultimately gets imprinted on the child as well, to where now we give the child the animal desires, and it could be a loving union, but it still can happen. And so I'm not saying that you have to go and have children and marry for 25 years and master, the blending of Ida Pingala and be able to have an alcohol divine conception. But what I am saying is that this merging of opposites, merging of father mother energy to create the divine conception of the Son is not only the same principles that apply to animals, to humans, but also to the cosmos. The Son, it was all created the same way. The Sun was created the same way through the blending of the forces of what we call the Shiva or God energy and the Shakti or the goddess energy. And that union created the Sun in our solar system, just like it created the Sun in every other solar system. So this blending, this continual union, this polarization of opposites is what we're here to experience, is what we're here to know, is how we're here to grow. And when we can really step into our divine roles and remember what it means to be a divine child, what it means to be a son of God, an S-U-N of God, we can really tap into our true power. And that's what it means, you know. That's what it means to be a child of God. Is it means that we're not forget our power. We're not forgetful of our power. We're remembrant of our, we're able to awaken to our power and utilize our power and be the child of God we were born to be the son of God that we were born to be uh, the divine embodiment, the divine expression that we were here to be. This is what we're here for. This is why we are here, you know, is to divine, to not take things so seriously. We can learn so much from children because, like I said, they're the purest form of God energy that we can experience as humans. Like baby, I mean, really, any form of a baby anywhere is that for us, any form. So when we experience, see a little puppy, it's just as cute as seeing a little baby because we sense the purity of that. Just like when we bathe in the sun, we feel the purity, we feel the warmth, divine warmth of that. And it supersedes the physical touch, right? It supersedes that. You feel good when you're in the sun, right? You feel really good when you're in the, you feel awake, and not just physically, but energetic, spiritually. And so the same thing happens inside of us, right? We don't need to go to the physical sun to experience the gifts of God, and we don't need to go to having physical children to experience the gifts of God, but we do need to recognize the process and how that fits our own selves, right? So we do need to experience alchemical marriage within ourselves in order to experience the truths or the blossoming or the conception of our inner divine child, which means we allow the sun to forth, which means we allow our soul. Sun is soul, 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 right? So when we have soul, when we allow our soul, our sun, our inner sun, son of God, S-U-N, when we allow that to come forth and be what guides us, what brings us breath, what brings us life, what brings us prana, which brings us all these things, we experience the true essence of what we are, which is gold, alchemical gold. That is the philosopher's stone. The philosopher's stone is created through the Ida, the Pingala merging. The philosopher's stone is created through the alchemical marriage, chemical union. We are the philosopher's stone, but we need to bring it out of us because it's within us, hidden. It's shrouded by ego. It's shrouded by desires. It's shrouded by our conditioning. It's shrouded by all these things, right? And because it's shrouded by all these things, because it's shrouded by our conditioning, our upbringing, our trauma, all things, we need to bring it forth. Bring it forth. And that bringing the soul forth is the awareness of the father and the mother energy within us. Whether you're a man or a woman, you have father and mother energy within you. Whether you're a man or a woman, you have soul within you. Whether you're a man or a woman, you have the inner child within you. And all of these things must come forth. And there's an order to this. There's a divine order to this. The divine order is we must first, if I'm a man, I'm going to integrate the divine father within me. I'm going to build that up. And then I'm going to get to know through building that up, being that pillar. And if I'm the other way around. I'm going to learn who Shakti is. I'm going to learn who I am truly as a woman, you know, and then I'm going to get to the Divine Father and the Divine Master and what that means. And through the alchemical learning process, because alchemy is a learning experience every time. You learn because if you screw things up, you can really things up. If we're talking about like co-alchemy, you know, you're making spagyrics or something like that. But if we're talking about spiritual alchemy, well, you can mess things up as well. You can degenerate yourself further than you are if you don't do the process properly. Okay, through this union, I as a man am getting to know the father. You woman, you're getting to know the mother, and then through now being that expression, right? Being that divine father, being that divine masculine, I now get to know Shakti. I now get to experience Shakti, both within me and outside of me, and okay. And through that union, getting to know each other, through that coming together, because once you know what happens, it's the same thing for dating. Once we get to know each other, then we can come together, right? And then we come together in union. And after we have gotten to know each other, Shiva Shakti, father, mother, that the union that is created is the birthing or the immaculate conception. It's the lotus blossoming. It is the philosopher's stone. It is the divine conception. The divine conception goes across all religions. We have Horus was born through divine conception. Jesus was born through divine conception. Krishna was born through divine conception. Um, in the Babylonian tales, there's tales of divine conception. In the Chaldeans discussed divine conception, all across all pretty much space and time. And there was divine conception in the Asian culture as well. Um, I'm not as well versed in those, but I do remember reading about that the divine conception coming up in ancient Chinese and Japanese literature as discussing, you know, spiritual philosophy. So it's present everywhere. And there's a reason, right? Because it exists within us. And we're meant to find it. And we're meant to bring it out. We're meant to be the fusion, the alchemical fusion of Ida and Pingala. We're meant to be, we're meant to experience divine conception within ourselves. We're meant to conceive our divine child. The truth is, our divine child was conceived when we were born, but we've been conditioned into being a human. We've been conditioned into being a grouchy human. You know, and conditioned into being a human um, that you know has a name and has a job and goes to work and has had past and has had this traumatic childhood and has had all these things happen to us. But the truth is that when we can activate the divine child, when we can conceive the divine child, um, we go above and beyond all that. We awaken to the inner sun. And our inner sun is what happens when we start to live above the heart. When we start to raise our energy up to above the heart. This is not some woo-woo stuff. It's talked about across all religions. It's talked about across all sects. So it doesn't matter if you're Christian, you're Hindu, you're Muslim, it doesn't matter what background you have. As I said, I'm happy here because we are non-denominational. We just talk about spirit. We talk about God. Um, it's across all states of being. When you live above, when you live above the heart and the heart and above, you awake the divine child. You awaken the soul, sun within you, and you start living from soul. When you live below the heart, you live in your animal center, which is survival, procreation, and desire. We experience these things. We experience the lust. We experience the primal urges, survivalism, and we experience intense desire to dominate, desire to take over, all these things. We start to live above the heart center. When we start to live from soul, when we start to live from sun, we experience what it means to feel compassion for others. We experience what it means to feel compassion for all. We experience what it means to begin the process of alchemical union or divine, right? You can't have the awareness of, you can't have the true awareness of um, how your inner energies harmonize unless you live above the heart. You begin to hypothesize. You can begin to say, this is interesting. This energy is very, we're experiencing, I get sensations. Like you don't have to be an enlightened guru to understand uh, what it means, what yin and yang means, or read the Bhagavad Gita, or to read the Tao Te Ching, or to read the Bible. Like you don't need to be some, crazy guru. And all these texts, they lead us to alchemical union. They lead us to the awakening of our inner soul. Soul, son, our inner sons, right? We are sons of God. So only only can experience the light of ourselves that we can really know ourselves. And we cannot experience the light of ourselves, the soul, the sun within us, until we start to live above the heart. So when we live from the heart, we are saying that I'm not superior to you. That's all people. Because we live in a society that thrives on competition and thrives off us hating each other and thrives off us trying to beat the shit out of each other, not just physically, but in all ways, right? The entire mechanism of consumer is based off of, if I have this, I'll be good. If I have this, I'll be better than this person who doesn't have it, right? If I have, then someone who has not is less than me. And the truth is, first of all, you don't own it. Even if you buy it, you don't own it. It's not coming when you die. You don't own it. So it's not yours. We're just borrowing things. We're borrowing everything. We're even borrowing our body. Everything is borrowed. The only thing that we have is soul. The only thing we have is God. The only thing we have is our hearts, you know. And so what matters? And we've been conditioned to, buy into a society that tells us that that's not what matters. Conditioned to live in a promotes animal centers, that promotes survivalism, survival of the fittest, we always hear, right? What does that even mean? To be the fit is to be one with God. That's fit. That's chemically fit. Is we're tapped into soul. We're tapped to the sun. We're tapped into the um, survivalism is something that we're being pumped with on the daily. You know, we hear the food shortages. We always hear about overpopulation, global warming, all these things that basically tell us we're a disease and that we're just surviving, thriving. And I mean, most people are surviving. Most people aren't thriving. But to thrive is a choice, and it's a choice to live above the animal tendencies. Right? We're also pumped with love. We're pumped with sexual desires from every which way. Sexualization has infiltrated our culture in a positive way. The positive polarity of sexualization is is alchemical sexuality, right? It's the union of opposites. It's the emergence of polarity to create unity. That's the highest order of sexuality. Sexuality itself, as we talked about last week, is the Shakti energy. It's the feminine. It's the energy which creates all things. So that in itself is divine. Absolutely, there's no doubt that. But the way in which it's directed tells where we're going, right? So I want you to just think about some symbols for a second here to help you understand this. When you direct the energy downward, right, what does a downward arrow look like? It looks like a devil's tail. When we direct our energy upward, right, we're bringing that energy up towards what? The sun, the soul, the higher spheres of life, God, right? We have revered the sun as God. And it's true, this is God, but the sun is a manifestation of God, capable, which makes us capable of accepting, capable of understanding. Because the true concept of God is beyond all understanding. It's not something that we can understand. It's something that we be. It's something that we are, and that is enough, because it is all things innately. It is all things innately. So when we live from the lower centers, when we're conditioned to buy into survivalism. We're conditioned that if I have things, then I'll be better than other people. If I, um, show this person who's boss, then I'll be, strong. Or if I eliminate someone, then I'll be better than them. If I if I experience, love, this is what true pleasure is, right? And the third center is control and domination, which, I mean, as we see in the world, between the first and third was where we tend to exist. And what is between first and the second, which is lust, which is why the culture has sexualized us and eroticized sexuality in such a way that perverts us. It's a perversion, it's a distraction, and it takes us away from soul. Point. The agenda. The agenda to eventually us just completely void of all human touch, void of all human interaction. Because our sexuality is sacred, and within us. It's our shadow. It's the energy that creates us. So if they can convert the energy that creates worlds, they us. So we into our sun. We need to be the sons of God, SUNs of God. And through that awareness of soul, through living through the heart, through being in the heart, owning it, living life through there, being soul, we know God, and we can utilize all things. Right? When we live from soul, we can utilize consumerism to benefit us in all others, right? Like, I just beautiful laptop, which is allowing me to live stream here from Mexico. Bought a beautiful ticket to come to Mexico, which has allowed me to do this work, right? Allows you to live in a beautiful place that you call home, that gives you shelter, that gives you clean water, that gives you a toilet, right? That gives you warmth when you need it, cooling when you need it, right? So consumerism is not inherently bad, just like sexuality is not inherently bad, just like desire is not inherently bad. But all these things can be perverted when we're not living above the heart. When we live from the heart and above, saying that we see these things as tools and we utilize them for soul. And soul is service. Service to others, ultimately at the highest capacity. When we live from the lower regions, when we live from the lower planes, we are service to self only. We are incapable of serving others unless it serves ourselves. So when we live from heart, then we start to say these things are tools, right? When you're living from you're looking at consumerism. Okay, I don't need everything that the store says is on sale. That's dumb, right? But just rack up credit cards because they need more shit in their house. It's stupid. It's dumb. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve others. So, but if I see something that I know will benefit my life and the lives of others, either indirect or direct, is my obligation to invest in that, right? It's my obligation to do that if it's in service of the highest order, which if you feel that way, then it is. Sexuality. To feel sexually is innately bad. It is the beginnings of creation, right? The lowest primal instinct, when we feel arousal, the lowest form of creation is sexual orgasm. The highest form of creation is to create through soul. Whether that's physically, mentally, energetically, to create. And to use that energy to create, to use that energy to inspire us. Because when sexuality is approached from the heart, we have an amazing tool that we need. That's why, as much as I am an advocacy for, you know, kind of removing as much of the sexual degeneracy from culture and sexual promiscuity from culture, to avoid it completely is to deny yourself of your divinity, because you were born whether you want to think about this or not. I know I don't, but it just is a fact that we're born through our parents orgasming, you know? And I mean that in itself is a beautiful thing. And to deny that part of yourself, that's where I see the priests, well, we all know that a lot of these priests are not celibate. They're just kids, which is not, it's worse off than if they were, allowing themselves to express their sexuality. But unfortunately, we repress our sexuality and then we do messed up things. Because when we repress, it builds, right? You ever notice that when you start to avoid things, they just keep coming in your field. They keep coming in your vicinity. They keep coming back. You're just like, I just want to, let it go. It's like if I tell you to, not about the elephant in the room, what are you going to think about? You're going to think about the elephant in the room. If someone tells you to not have sinful sexual desires, you're going to have sinful sexual desires. It's impossible. And this is the thing: sexuality, uh, consumption, and control and desire. These are currently neutral. They're neutral because they're tools, right? To say, like, let's say you were hammering in a nail and you whacked your finger, you broke it, or you broke the nail or whatever, and you really hurt your hand. Are you going to say that hammer is evil? Right? This hammer kills people, right? It's like when guns kill people. Or what? Yeah, yeah. It's guns that's the problem. No, it's the wielder behind the weapon, right? It's like saying all swords kill people. It's like no, 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 not swords kill people. If you watch people do, you know, martial arts, they're not killing people. They're learning how to wield this tool to the best of their capacity, right? And that's the power from is we can utilize these things to the best of our capacity. We can utilize them for the divine that they are, right? We're not here to depend on the tools. We're here to utilize the tools. So we utilize the tools through living soul. We utilize the tools from saying, how does it serve God? How does this serve all? How does this serve my fellow man? How does this serve myself and others? Right? Think about this. I want you to think about it next time you go to the store. If I buy these things that I want to buy, how does this serve me? How does this serve others? What about the next time you get a little horny or you get a little aroused? How does this serve me? How does this serve others? Right? Think about this when you feel that someone, when you feel that you try and overpower someone and in superiority on someone. How is this serving me? How is this serving others? And the way in which you tell that you're living from the heart is you tune in, say, is what I'm about to do serving others, serving all? Is what I'm about to do serving others? Or is what I'm doing serving others? Right? Is what I'm doing serving others? Because maybe you're in love, something like that. Maybe you're, got some porn open and you're about to beat one off. Is this serving others? Hell no. You know? Is this serving yourself? No way. For what? 30 seconds of temporary dopamine to the brain? Needed life force? No way. Same thing when you're about to, when you're about to buy something. Is this thing serving me? Does this serve my household? Does it serve my family? Does it serve others? Right? Investing in, let's say your fridge is broken. You need to buy, well, that's going to serve them, allow you to hold food there. New stove, it's going to allow you to cook better, or it's going to allow you to create healthy meals, right? Do I really need, the seventh 50-inch flat screen TV in my house? Is that really going to serve others? Is that really going to bring God through? No way, right? Like, do you need that 25th pair of shoes? that you're only going to wear one? Is that going to really serve others? No, but is there that maybe a little more expensive, right? It'd be like 450 shoes, but I'm going to wear it every day. It's going to allow me to get to all the nations that I want to go. That's going to serve others. So when you start to think in terms of, does this serve the all, as opposed to just, does this serve me? Does it serve the all? And ultimately, does it serve my mission? Because our mission serves the all. So you can even ask that question. But I urge you to start with, does this serve the all? Because when we start with, does this serve the mission? When you're living from the lower means, your mind takes that as, does this serve me? And when you just live thinking every action serve me, not about, does this serve others, or how will this serve others? How will this impact others? You're living life from ego. You're living life from fear, ultimately. Fear of soul. You know, a lot of times people think that being controlling, being dominating, or even being able to consume so much. You know, we value each other based off of how much we can consume. Oh, you can consume $1 million, I think I can consume 1.5 million. You know, it's like, ho, 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 congratulations, right? Versus some guy who may only be able to consume 100, but is way more people than these degens could ever do, right? So think service. The divine child. This is, you know, divine union creates. It creates a child in service of the all. That's what a divine child. That's why we look at children as symbols of purity. And that's why the machine, whatever you want to call it, the matrix, the cultural system seeks to harm the children most of all. And we must protect the children. We must protect our own inner child, because through the preservation of our own inner child will we be able to protect the children. But we also must serve and protect all children everywhere, because they are the future, right? We know this. We are the future, but the children are the true future. We were the future, and now we're living in it, continue to live in it. So our next generation will be the future, and so on and so forth. It's a perpetual cycle of life. Divine Father, Divine Mother, fusing, splitting in two, fusing, they come back in one another. Through fusion create the Holy Trinity, which is Father, child. So let us be sons of God, and let us take the time to live in service of the all. Because I promise you, as someone who the majority of the time, I would like to think I live in service of the all. And having been in a place where I did not live that way or operate that way, I can tell you living in service of the all is far more rewarding than living just in service of yourself. Far rewarding. Beyond your current conceptions. And if you're living from a place of service, if you're living from the heart, then you know, right? You know this is we get the gift of living from the heart in order to understand the beauty of living from the heart. And that power that we have as humans is we have those animal instincts. We have those lower regions, tools, right? They're tools at the end of the day. We have the higher regions. We have the heights. We have the higher centers. Because that is where we operate from. All activated through the heart. And the heart opens through service. It opens through connection, and the opens through about something other than self. Okay? So I know that was a lot to digest, and I mean, I'm sure the last 3 weeks there's a lot to digest, But I really hope that this is all making sense, and I hope that this is being integrated. And again, these are concepts that we're taught, and I like to give many examples and metaphors and analogies as possible so that you can understand it in your own interpretations, because it's not something you just hear and you get it. It's something you live. To live from soul, to live God, to live from the heart. These are all things that are not theory, they're not concepts. This is one thing that the new community has tainted quite a bit. It's not concepts, it's practice. Okay? God. When you say you're spiritual, but you're not living from heart, you're not living soul, you're not spiritual. You're a spiritualist. You're buying into spiritualism. You're not spiritual. So to tap into that, to tap into the true highest potential of you are, where you want to go, you have to live in service to the service to others. All right, so we're just going to close it in a quick meditative exercise. If you are pregnant, don't do this. And if pregnant, then do this. Okay. So hands at heart center. We're just going to breathe through our nose, up our belly. Release the breath. Inhale. And release the breath. In. And release the breath. Inhale. Hold the breath. And release the breath. And just create a slow rhythm of breathing for a few moments, just to get you tuned in. Hands at heart center. All right, so what we're going to do, you can do this sitting or standing, whatever works. You're going to raise your right hand to the sky and your left hand to the ground, like straight. Just continue breathing. And as you breathe, bring energy through your left hand and send that out to God through your right hand. So bring the energy in through the earth, through your left hand. As you breathe in, just feel it, and you can visualize it. Breathing in and breathe out. Out through your right hand, in through your left hand. Just feel it fill up your whole body. Filling your whole body with gold light, pure white light, white and gold. And as you exhale, releasing that light into the all, into the creation, to the creator, to all that encompasses creation. As you inhale, bringing that energy through your body, nourishing your body. As we cannot nourish others and nourish ourselves, find the greatest nourishment through nourishing others. That is the great paradox. Continue breathing for a few moments. And bring your hand for a few moments. Don't cross your fingers. You can have them touching one another or just lay them in your lap. And I want you now, just as you continue breathing, visualizing a great sun above your head, like a small sun, of the sun, is growing above it. And as you continue to breathe into it, you're now breathing in through your feet and out through your crown, in through your feet, through your crown, through your feet, and out through your crown. And as you're breathing this energy up, you're sending this gold light to the sun above your head. And as you breathe out into this sun, it grows. It grows in heat, it grows in light, and it grows a little bit in size. And you're filling your crown up. Gold. You're nourishing your body. You're nourishing your crown. You're nourishing soul. You're acting the soul that is within you, the sun that is within you. Pay attention to the light that is growing above your head and the warmth that it's emitting and the energy that it's emitting. And pay attention to what comes up, what you feel. Observe any sensations, right or sensations that you feel. Just focusing on though. Trying not to focus on other things, what you have to do today or any of that. Breathing in through your crown, filling your crown up with this beautiful light. And continue this process. But as you continue this process, repeat these three mantras. And the first is serve the all, I am the all is me. I serve the all, I am the all is me. I serve the all, I am the all is me. And continue this. You focus on your crown, you're focusing on opening yourself up to intelligent infinity. You're opening yourself up to God. You're opening yourself up to the inner sun, the inner child within you. You're blending Ida Pingala, you are blending Mother, Father, Shiva Shakti. Continuing to breathe in through your feet, out through your head. I am the all. I serve the all is me. I serve the all, I am the all is me. I serve the all, I am the all is me. And all the way. Hold it out as long as you can and see if you can exhale some more and more and more. As long as you possibly. Your mind will start to freak out a bit, but just hold it out. You can massage your stomach, you can massage your organs as well. And as you massage your stomach and organs, if you have to take a quick breath in, do that, but then exhale again and hold it out yourself. And as you massage yourself, you should be smiling and bring yourself up with that gold light. Seeing that gold light encompass and surround and permeate through every organ in your body, through every blood cell that carries itself to everywhere in your body. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. And now clench your perineum between your genitals and your anus. That and send that energy up through the spine, down. Is you fully, stomach in, chin is in, and eyes are pointed upward. Hold it as long as you can. When you need to exhale, inhale a little more. Hold it. King the root. Send the energy up to the crown. Exhale. Relax, shake a little bit. Hands to heart center. And we'll end in a prayer. Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, the Supreme Creator, we thank you for giving us the gift of soul, for giving us the gift of life. May we continue to live and serve the all, continue to live in service of soul. And may we share our soul with everyone we meet. May we awaken the inner child and let him or her be free. May we recognize that we are sons of God. May we all recognize that the gift is to be alive. May you assist us in living through the heart and utilizing all the tools available in service of the all. May we recognize and hold on to the man in us. May we recognize and hold on to the Father energy within us. And may we become closer to alchemical marriage and conceive the inner child that we know is here now. Take a big breath in. And as we exhale, give out a little om. It was my greatest pleasure and honor to be able to host a Sunday service for you all. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you join us next week for another Sunday service every single Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And I will see you next Sunday. Enjoy a life of service and enjoy a life of soul. Peace and love.